Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the arena. Today, we celebrate the launch of the Brawl event. So, Brawl is going to be an actual thing for this event. For Magic the Arena. And I thought that this would be actually a great opportunity for you guys to learn how to deck build into the Brawl events, because Brawl is definitely going to be something, a normal thing that's going on. And I think after this event, it won't be something that you can play every day or whatever. It's something that you can play every week, I believe. So the Brawl event, or game mode, as you may prefer to call it, will be this launch event will be available to us from October 24 all the way to November 1. And then after that, it will go on with its sort of scheduled Brawl pop-up. So it'll be every Wednesday. Every Wednesday will be Brawl. So it'll be called Wednesday Brawl or whatever. Beyond this launch event, that is when the scheduled brawls will come out. So it comes out every Wednesday starting November 6th, and it'll be available for 24 hours, all day, 24 hours. Play as long as you want, binge it if you want, and it will be just like every other standard game mode, where there will be no entry fees. There will be no additional rewards for playing it, except that these Brawl games will allow you to sort of progress towards your quests, like for instance, this cast 20 or black spells. So anything you do there will count towards these quest progresses, including these XP, the weekly XP reset gain, and these daily quests. So anyway, now that we've dealt with that, Brawl will be available all the time, but it'll be available to friendly brawls. So if you challenge a friend, you can challenge them into a brawl, and so it will be available in that sense all the time, but you have to challenge your friend into it. So with all that being said, we've dealt with all of that stuff. Now I actually just want to start off with one of my decks that I've already made, and just sort of explain towards it. So we've created a Timur Elemental. I think this is the most basic, probably the best deck you can make, because there are a lot of elemental cards in this current set, in this current meta, and there's a lot of synergy. But so we're gonna go into it. Let's start with the very basic. So your commander, this is your commander slot. This is your commander, Omnath. So your commander can be any legendary card. Any legendary card. It can be planeswalker or creature, but it has to be a legendary card. It can be Torbrand if you want. It can be Mu Yanling. It can be a planeswalker. It can be a creature. It can't be an enchantment. It can't be a spell. It can be an artifact if your artifact is a creature or a legendary creature. Is a legendary creature or a legendary planes. I'm not sure if there are artifact legendary planeswalkers, but there are artifact legendary creatures. So that's your commanding slot. And for this deck, it's going to be Omnath, because that is this is actually the first commander that I thought of, because there are so many elementals, and the first among the many, but this is the first one I actually built into. And so once you select your commander, your entire deck is composition of colors is determined by the colors of your commander. So if let's say you put in a mono-colored commander, then you're automatically, as you can see, everything just went red. All of my cards just went red. So as you can see, now I'm forced into that situation where I have to play a mono-red deck, and that can be good or bad depending on your deck. I'm not saying that monocolored monocolored commander decks are bad. It's just that you don't have the benefit of the, you're very restricted to one type of play. So in a deck where you only have one, mind you, it's a 60 card deck. I believe you can have more, but it's a 60 card deck where you can only have one of each card. And if you're restricted to colors because of your commander, then that just means that you can only play one sort of play style that is available to that color. But if you have multiple colors in your commander, then you have the option to sort of switch it up. Such like this deck, as you can see, you think it's elemental, so normally you think I might have to take out this that's old, Fae of Wishes. I thought I could sideboard, but I guess I couldn't, so I'm gonna have to take that out, replace it with, I don't know, for now probably just an opt, because opt, why not? You can also put more, so you can put in more than 60. My nose is sort of sniveling. I'm sick a little, but who cares, right? MTG is life. So you think that because my commander is Omnath, you think that I might go all, elemental just to make 100% use of that mechanic when I put Omnath down on the board. There's that sort of anthem effect, but I didn't want that because that's what people will expect, and I'm so fond of, being spontaneous and surprising with my deck. So I decided to put, of course there are elementals because I chose Omnath, so that's ridiculously a no-brainer that you have to, put in some elementals in there. But at the same time, I put in things like, power play cards like Hydroid Crassus, Gilded Goose, and well, I believe Oko's in here somewhere. Oko, Gilded Goose, and Oko, that combination alongside the where is, I did not put in the Wicked Wolf. Well, now we know our replacement for that card. Wicked Wolf. I also put in Questing Beast because I am aware that sometimes these commanders might have planeswalkers. My opponent may have planeswalker commanders. So I put in Questing Beasts so that I can deal with them. I put in Bone Crusher Giant just so that I can make use of that Stomp, which is a 2 damage, which is very vital if your opponent is playing a planeswalker, because sometimes they use the minus ability and they don't realize that I have Bone Crusher Giant's Stomp, and I can just -2 destroy them. And another point to remember, that if your commander dies, you can always put it back. You have that option. You can have it discarded, or you can have it returned to your commander's slot, whatever that is. But your next cast for it will cost more. 2, I think it adds 2 more to cast. So if I put down Omnath on turn 1 or whatever turn, if I put down Omnath for 4, when Omnath dies, it will return to my hand, or to the commander slot, and then my next casting cost for Omnath will be 6. So it will increase every time. Every time you have to cast Omnath. Of course, there is that option not to return Omnath to your commanding slot and it goes straight to the graveyard. That's up to you if you want to do that, because then let's say you have I don't know, maybe you're running Sultai, right? Maybe you're running Sultai and you have the Blood for Bones, so you can return Omnath back onto the board and sort of delay that increase in cost by 1 death, and that will mean a lot if your deck is that kind of deck. If you're playing Sultai, I really don't know how you would play Sultai with Omnath as your commander. Probably you won't be able to do that, but if you have cards that can return, that's just one example. If you have, I'm pretty sure there's a blue card somewhere in here that I don't really have right now on the top of my mind, that you can return from the graveyard and put it back into your hand. I'm sure it's a typical blue mechanic. I'm sure blue has that sort of mechanic somewhere in here. So you can do that. That's one strategy. But yeah, so your commander will always come back when it dies. You always have that option to do that. So there's one loophole to that sort of option thing. If you steal your opponent's commander and it dies, it does not come. You don't have that, and it dies on your opponent's, or if you steal your opponent's commander, it dies on your turn, on your control. It doesn't return to your opponent's commanding slot. Instead, it goes straight to their discard pile, and then that's that. Unless they have something to bring back the card to the board or to their hand, then it's gone. Now I remember. What's her name? Tamio. Tamio is blue-green, right? And you can return cards from the graveyard. So if you have Tamio in there, maybe I should include in Tamio just in case. Like I said, you can have 60, 6-1. You can have more. You can have 70, 100 cards for your Brawl. But I do like that idea of having Tamio there so that I can bring it back. Maybe not Vivian. I don't know. I like Vivian a lot. Anyway, so for land, normally you want to have 26, 27 land, because you're not going to have a lot of these small creatures unless you that's how you want to build around. Normally if you're playing mono red commander, then sure, well, why not, right? But normally you want to ramp up, because these high costing mana stuff, planeswalkers, artifacts, creatures, normally these are the cards that will win you the game. So you really do want something like 26. 24 you may sort of mana screw a bit, but that really depends on what your cards are. And but for for this deck, for Timur, which is very famous for its big, because you have those colors. You have the colors of Gruul, so it allows you to put down sort of stompy creatures. You have the blue, which also is very mana heavy, because of actually that's only one of the only reasons why I wanted to put blue in here is for Mass Manipulate, because I knew that if I can do this with Timur. I can have Nisa on the board, have a lot of mana. Great Henge allows us 2 more additional. That's 1 creature or planeswalker steal. We have a lot of big mana costing stuff that will make use of all of these things that green specializes in, giving you a lot of mana. And I want to utilize that. That's why, this is why I built it this way. So, your command. Let's talk about your commander a little bit more, because this is sort of where the importance of your Brawl deck is going to come out from. So color identity is not necessarily coming from its converted mana cost, or it's whatever it costs. It can come from anywhere. So let's take you out first so that we can spot the Ashiok. So let's say Ashiok. Ashiok is a blue and or black mana. So if you use Ashiok as your commander, that means your deck is going to be Dimir colors, because it is blue and or black. Now you might ask, can I play Ashiok in my Timur deck because it has blue? Its cost is blue or black, right? Well, no, because Ashiok is identified as blue and black. So if you get what I'm trying to say. So I can't put Ashiok in my deck with Omnath. Omnath. With Omnath. God damn it, spell. Omnath. Spell. With Omnath as my commander. I can't do that. because Omnath does not have black, and Ashok identifies as, if you notice, even if I try to search, Ashok won't pop up because he is associated with black. And since we don't have black in Omnath, we can't do that. Now, another thing is creatures that have abilities that are of a different color. Like, let's say, where is that card? Well, I don't think there is one now. Okay, so Golos. Golos is, this is a special case. So artifact or colorless. Golos is colorless. So that means that you can only play colorless cards, such as artifacts, right? Where is that? Such as artifacts, artifact creatures, artifact artifacts, artifact enchantments. There are some. I'm not really sure if they're artifact enchantments, but they're just generally called artifacts. So Golos is a exception because Golos has an ability that includes all 5 colors of Magic. 6 if you include colorless, but since colorless is colorless, then it's not a color. So Golos is an exception. So I can have Golos as my commander and still proceed with all of these cards and use them, these Timur colors. In fact, I can even add, I can go 5 colors. I can include, what colors do we not have? Black and blue, black and white. So in fact, I can include black colors or white colors. As so, it didn't turn red, see? Because Golos is associated as a creature, a legendary creature at that, with colorless and all 5 colors. So Golos is actually quite a very powerful commander if you want to go with that route, because then you're not really restricted to what you can do. So you can maybe have a Fires of Invention. This is very interesting for me. I'm just realizing this now. But you can have a Fires of Invention in there somewhere. Then you can have Golos on the board. And if you use Golos's, ability as it's on the board, you can, whatever you draw, it's 0 cast. So 0 is 0 converted mana cost. Whatever you exile from his ability, so you can just play it down and keep playing it down, and you can do that. So Golos is a very special situation. But going on forward to what I was supposed to explain with creatures that have return, the Kenrith the Return King is also another what just happened? Wait, what just happened? So Kenrith the Returned King is also a special situation because he has access. He has, what is that? 4? He has 5. All colors. He has 5 abilities that are associated each with different colors. And yeah, you can do that. You can have Kenrith as your commander and still have access to whatever colors you want. In short, you're a 5 color, technically you are a 5 color Brawl deck, because your commander associates with all 5 colors, and which is lore wise true for Kenrith, because he is, he may be just king of Ardenvale, but we all know that Ardenvale is sort of the the top honcho of all kingdoms in the entire realm. That's the kingdom where they're the people who govern everything else. Probably not the Wilds or Loch Twain, but everyone looks toward Kenrith and Ardenvale because he's such a great king, and he's such a wonderful king despite his flaws. And you will know in the book, which I will not spoil if you haven't read the book yet. I have it on my channel. You can listen to it, read it, whatever you want. It's there. The Wildered Quest is the is the book. So yeah, this is actually another special situation. So we have 2, Golos and Kenrith, who are very special creatures. Very special. There was a man, there was a card that I really wanted. What was it? It was, well, the angels aren't okay. Well, I don't think we. Yeah, I don't think there are any other legendary creatures that have, you know, that special. Right. Anyway, it's not here in this set. It's probably in an older set that I was thinking of. But if you ever like come across a creature that has, you know, an ability, maybe let's say it's a black creature, and then its ability is red, then that if you use that as your commander, that creature, your entire deck will be Rakdos colors, red and black, and that only. So now that we've got that out of the way, I'm gonna have to tell you guys how to, you know, build your deck, since you only have one of each. Now, normally, what you want is you want your deck to be themed, sort of, right? You want to have anthem effects, sort of the Omnath elemental thing. So that's why I put in lizard, Scorch Bitter, elemental lizard. I've put in Healer of the Glade. I put in a lot of elementals that will have sort of a synergistic thing to them. There's combo. So you have Runaway Steamkin, which is an elemental. So if I cast a red card, I get that anthem effect. There's also Thunderkin Awakener, which will return an elemental creature to the board once it attacks. So let's say, I don't know, we have Scorch Bitter in the bin, in the graveyard, and we have Thunderkin Awakener attack, then it comes back. We have all of those things, but generally, I was thinking for this deck, I was thinking endgame. And, you know, when you're thinking endgame, you want the big cards. And so I thought, well, we have a lot of small creatures, and the chances of me drawing Mass Manipulate in a game may take a while. So I thought, well, I'm gonna have to, you know, generate draw abilities. So I put in Chemist's Insight, I put in Draw from Dreams, Mu Yanling if she can survive. Plus, Mu Yanling's token is an elemental. So you gain that, you know, benefit with Omnath and that elemental that she creates. Then I thought, well, how about Risen Reef? It allows me to draw, you know, one. In a worst case scenario, I get it late. I've already have all my elementals on the board. I can only draw one. At least that's still a draw. Best case scenario, I draw Risen Reef early, put him down. He doesn't die, hopefully. And I get to cast all of my elementals behind him, and that allows me to draw so many that I can, get in the benefit of Mass Manipulation. Ultimately, it's either, for this deck, it's either you dominate the board with all your elementals, or and creatures, mind you, including Nisa, or you start stealing your opponent's valuable cards with Mass Manipulation, because I know that in the long run I can, gain a lot of mana, because this is Timur, the deck that is well known for a lot of its mana gain. So I also included Hydroid Crassus, which is a very valuable card. I almost forgot to put Hydroid Crassus. What kind of person am I to forget Hydroid Crassus? And I almost forgot to put Hydroid Crassus in there, but Hydroid Crassus has such a valuable, such an intense value for this deck, because it's a creature. Normally you want to put it down late before, when you've got all these lands and you still haven't gotten Mass Manipulation. So you can put it down, get that whopping huge, I don't know, 2020 Hydroid Crassus, even 15 Hydroid Crassus, and draw all that, 7 cards, and just amazing. And then we have Tamio, which I just, put in right here now, because she can search for stuff. So she can bin stuff, and then she can search for stuff. And if Mass Manipulate was accidentally binned, or if it had to be used early, you can always, put it back. So generally, what you want is to have multiple synergies, because you only have one of each card. Now, my take on these adventure cards is I think they're very important. You can definitely build a brawl deck around it because they serve as two, right? They serve as two cards in one, and that's definitely a very huge um, gain or advantage if you're playing into Brawl, because normally once you cast a card, then it's gone. There's no other way to get it back unless you have your deck is built around that sort of ability to bring back cards from the graveyard, and or to copy cards and whatever. So my take on adventure cards is, if you can fit some of them in your deck, you should do it, because then you have that sort of card advantage. Because it's like having, if you have five cards in your hand and one of them is an adventure card, it's kind of like having six, and you still have that card advantage, which is very important. Then I also included Cavalier of Gales, which is also a draw ability, and ultimately God Eternal Ronus is going to serve as one of our win conditions, because like I said, we do have that ability to sort of just go wide and dominate the board, and having God Eternal Ronus is very is such a culminating card to put down and then just attack with all of your creatures. They deal double damage, and it's a very, very strong card to have if you're going that route. There's also Night Pack Ambusher, because I did already foresee that, well, we have a lot of these creatures. We have, where is it? Scampering Scorcher, and then they're all elementals. We can sort of, put down Chandra, Novice Pyromancer, give all our elementals +2. We have Chandra, who can sort of, deal 3 damage to each non-elemental creature, and we have a lot of that. And most of our non-elemental creatures are, they're big creatures, so it's not really gonna matter if we cast Chandra's -3 while we have creatures that are non-elemental, because the Night Pack Ambusher is 4, its token is 3, assuming that you have the Night Pack Ambusher on the board, is 3. If it dies, then sure, maybe. That's to your discretion how you use it. Questing Beast is a 4/4, so it's not gonna die. Wicked Wolf, you can always pump it up with food, because we have Oko, we have the Gilded Goose. You can always pump it up. Icon of Ancestry, like I said, you're gonna want to name elementals so that you can keep drawing into elementals. Omnath is a 3/3 and might die unless you pump it up by putting more elementals on the board, and that's not hard to do. Then there's Cavalier, which is elemental. You have Ronus, which is a 5/5, so it's not gonna die if you use Chandra's -3 to destroy your opponent's creatures, and just sort of gain the advantage of having more creatures than they do. So there's a lot going on, and that's what you want in your Brawl Brawl/Commander deck. You want to have a lot of win conditions, a lot of combos, wherein if one thing doesn't work out, you can always do another thing. So that's what you want. You want a lot of synergistic stuff going on. Anyway, I think that should cover this deck building 101 for Brawl decks, Brawl/Commander, and I'll see you guys in the next video.